This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
You are what you watch. Hello, my name's Harriton Watco. Welcome to our program. We have a special show tonight, but before we get to that show, I'd like to give a small critique, a small point of view that's been eating me up all week. As you well know, we have just celebrated the 117th Independence Day. What I find disgusting, troublesome, and giving me nightmares is the concept of the bourgeois. Ang tawag po natin dyan yung mga burgis. I thought it has been decades past and we could have forgotten, or we should have forgotten, the concept of the bourgeois. Watching the president in Iloilo and watching the news clip of all the people outside pushing the barricades of the police, getting whipped by water cannons and sticks, only to see the president and his bourgeois team, the people of the clergy, the church people in their robes with gold around their necks, the people in the crisp barongs and suits, the foreigners, the oligarchs, the dynasties, the representative, no less, of the paid legislative, both houses of Congress and the Senate, and those appointed in his cabinet. It seems the bourgeois hasn't gone. It has stayed, and it has rooted itself right there in front of all of us to watch. Nakakahiya po. Ang Independence Day po ay para sa taong bayan. Hindi sa presidente may mandato na ibababa in about 1 year. Ang pangit po tignan. Ang taong bayan, ang sama ng loob, galit na galit. Pero yung presidente, hindi pinapawisan. Sa ilalim nga ng araw, pero may malaking dome tsaka malalakas na electric fan at air condition. Ano ba nangyari po sa bayan natin? Bakit ganon ang bourgeois? Nakaupo sa tuktok at binibigay kung anuman sinungaling habang pinakikita yung mga taong bayan, nagbabanat sa labas, pawis na pawis sa araw, at galit na galit sa gobyerno. Ladies and gentlemen, that will end that critique. Now, I said we have a special show simply because we have taken the opportunity in this very show to launch a book. Not just a book that will give you an insight into our history. Perceptions of a man who has been around for many decades, who have personal experiences with these people. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the book. It's called Capturing the Moments, written, authored by no less former Governor HOMOBONO ADAZA, who is our guest. Thank you very much, Governor. Narito kayo. Thank you so much. You're allowing us to launch your book right here on GNN.
Yeah. You know, Harry, it's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. As a matter of fact, I've been planning to launch this book in a restaurant like the other books that I had written. But you gave the suggestion that it's interesting probably to launch this book in your program. And it dawned upon me that that's probably the most brilliant idea ever given me for a long, long time, because we are making history tonight in a sense. First, this is the first book launching in this country in a talk show.
That's correct.
And second, this is the first time in the history of book launching also that I came all the way from Mindanao to be able to be here tonight. I was really praying that I will not miss the boat. I was playing. I really was praying hard.
Going through the book, Bono, if I may call you that, because you have different names here. You have Dodoy,
Yeah,
you have Bon,
yeah.
you have HOMOBONO, you have Governor Adasa, and you are the revolutionist. Among many titles.
But Harry, please don't ever call me homo. I might get to be president.
Why the title? Capturing the Moments. It's an intriguing title.
Yeah, I was on my way to Cagayan de Oro one day, taking chocolate in Naiya 3. And then a lady, whom I didn't know, with 3 small kids in tow, approached me on the table. Sir, I hope you don't mind if I join you to ask a question. I said, what's the question? What book are you writing today? Well, I'm writing a book patterned after a book I read, authored by Leon Trotsky. It's actually, I mentioned it here as profiles, but when I went over the book, it's entitled really Portraits. So sabi niya, Filipino profiles. No, what is it about? I said, moments with so many interesting personalities in the country. No, that's not a good title. The title should be Capturing the Moments. It's more mysterious.
Pero ito, hindi mo kilala itong tao nito.
I didn't know her.
And you have not met her ever since.
Not met her ever since. She's about in his late 30s, in her late 30s, or early 40s.
I believe you did well. And Capturing the Moments was exactly my experience when I went through the book. I'd like to go through the book with you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please do.
It'll be very interesting, because it's very, ladies and gentlemen, it's very easy reading. If you're a history buff, let it so it be. It's not going to challenge the knowledge you may have learned from other books. But the perceptions of a man who actually have specific experiences with these people, call them celebrities, call them intellectuals, call them leaders, because that's exactly what they all were or are. So sit back and enjoy this book with us as we go through some of the little parts on the book. I'd like to talk about Imelda. Of course, Imelda Marcos, we all know. This is very interesting. Bono, you and the Marcos, you were always a rebellious person, be it in school, in UP, and yet you've known Ferdinand Marcos, even when he was young.
Correct.
Even before he was perpetuated into Congress, into the Senate, and to the presidency. You're very familiar with the intrigue, and yet you are also very familiar with the jail sentence that he has given you. And yet you speak of Imelda in a very light, civilized manner.
As Vice President Pelaez, whom I normally quote, and I think I've mentioned it in my book, saying, lo cortés no quita lo valiente, in Spanish. And the translation, I think the rough translation is, courtesy does not make you any less valiant.
I have to remember that quote. Courtesy does not make you any less valiant. Tama nga naman, civility is everything.
Correct.
Especially the intellectual. But why is it you speak of Imelda in such a nice tone? There is no hate in the words that you put down one after the other.
No, I don't have personal hatred against anyone, because hatred is self-destructive. The life is too short for hates. There's so many beautiful things in life that you can write about. Why should you be maintaining hates that will bring you to the grave earlier than expected? So that's the way I appreciate people. That's the way I appreciate people. Even if we fought each other like mad during the martial law years.
It was never personal.
No, I was never personal. They were never personal also with me. Both Marcos and Imelda, they're never personal with me.
It's interesting, even until close to his death, even after exile, when he had to leave for Honolulu, Hawaii, how you still respected Imelda, graceful as you were, with every graceful invitation she extended to you.
Yes, I always attended.
Biro mo, prineswa na. You were pilloried in open, in media. You were robbed of even positions and mandates, and yet, after being in prison again, and yet you still have that, the civility, amazing.
Yeah, it's difficult to be civilized in this country, but it's good that I met earlier people, brilliant people like Emmanuel Pelaez, who comes from my province and who was the only elected vice president of the country, because if the games of history were played differently, that man would have become president.
Yes, correct. I agree with you there. A quote from the inside Imelda on Marcos' wealth. She emphasized that the wealth of Marcos was honestly earned by him as a lawyer of gold mining companies and the ability of Marcos to maximize his wealth. Bono, is this true?
Well, when I was invited by Imelda, together with others, members of the UP Book Club, Diliman Book Club, in her pad, in Global, she showed me, together with the others, one big room of documents, and they are certified by FBI, and not only by FBI, but the New York court where Imelda was acquitted. You cannot dispute the evidence. You know, these people saying about the stolen, hidden wealth of Marcos, the problem with them is they don't present any evidence. In the case of Imelda, she has presented an acquittal.
How is it, with all these documentation, because I have personally seen it, because we were invited there by the late Lito Gorospe, as you said. I've seen those documents in her, well, one story below her penthouse in BGC, no? Bakit kaya hindi napipresenta at hindi niya linalaban sa kaso? Maski anong gawin niya, matatalo siya.
Matatalo siya under any dispensation.
Regardless. No?
As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to be able to settle the problem with PCGG. A friend of mine, Boy Asistio, former mayor of Caloocan
Who you defended?
City. Yeah. And I went to her pad on his request. No? We discussed several evenings to settle the age-old problem of the Marcos wealth. No? Imelda was willing to settle the problem. I mean, in the interest of peace and the interest of the Filipino people from her point of view. But the main problem is that Aimee came there one evening in the course of our conversation. I said, "What is this all about?" No, you have nothing to do with it, replied Imelda. No, I have something to do with it. Everything discussed in this house, I have something to do with it. This is about the wealth, isn't it?
Yes.
With PCGG. So Imelda grudgingly accepted, yes. She banged the table, Aimee banged the table. I don't like any settlement on this matter with this government, not in a million years, during the time of Gloria. So that ended there. I told Boy Sicho, boy, there's nothing much we can do about it, because at the time, the chairman of PCGG was Camilo Sabio.
Sabio.
Who was a personal friend and who came from Cagayan de Oro also.
Cagayan de Oro.
Yeah, he's also from Cagayan de Oro.
He's been pilloried as well.
Yeah.
As of late.
I know, but Camilo is a pretty good man. No? I knew him since we were young. He was studying at Xavier University. I was a graduate of the Misamis Oriental High School, no? The public school. They were in Ateneo de Cagayan. That's a different atmosphere. No? But we were friends. No? We became friends. Our parents were friends also. So I knew Camilo. I know Camilo would not play any monkey business with any settlement with Marcos. But it failed nga because of Aimee Marcos.
Ayaw talaga.
Not in a million years.
Ayaw. Ladies, Bono, we're going to have to take a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. We will go through some of the many chapters in this book. This book is available in La Solidaridad, the bookstore, and at
Popular Bookstore.
At Popular Bookstore. Now, my suggestion is Google it, find out, order it. It's very easy reading. In fact, it's almost entertaining because Governor Bono here is also a comedian of sorts, but his sarcasm is so sharp that if you don't read between the jokes, you may end up laughing at yourself. We'll be right back.